At CES, Michael McDermott, EVP of Samsung, spoke with Bloomberg Media Studios about what the company calls its next AI chapter, your companion to AI living.
It's a shift from AI as a feature to AI as a trusted partner in everyday life.
Hey, this is U.S. Olympic gold medalist Tara Davis-Woodhull.
And I'm U.S. Paralympic gold medalist Hunter Woodhull.
As athletes, our lives are about having a clear path.
And a team that you can absolutely trust.
So when it came to getting the best mortgage,
we chose PennyMac.
PennyMac is proud to be the official mortgage provider of Team USA and you.
Learn more at pennymac.com. PennyMac Loan Services, LLC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 35953. Licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Conditions and restrictions may apply.
There's a fire inside you can't ignore. Stand still? Not a chance. You're a lifelong learner who's come this far. Now, we're here to help you keep going further. Capella University. What can't you do? Visit capella.edu to learn more.
Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
Welcome to a special edition of Bloomberg Tech. I'm Ed Ludlow. Waymo is widely seen as leading the robotaxi race, but with competitors like Tesla on its heel, the Alphabet unit has no interest in hitting the brakes on growth. In a wide-ranging interview, Waymo co-CEO Tekedra Mawakana talked to us about expanding into foreign markets, ongoing safety investigations, and their recent mega funding round. Let's take a listen to that conversation now. You've just raised $16 billion. It's a lot of money. What does it unlock for Waymo over the next 12, 24 months?
Raising the $16 billion and at the $126 billion valuation is really a vote of confidence.
Right.
I mean, this team has been heads down for a long time trying to bring this sort of scientific project into reality and at scale. And so it's a huge vote of confidence, not only from our majority investor, Alphabet,
right,
but also from our co-lead investors, Sequoia and DST and Dragoneer, as well as a host of world-class existing and new investors. And it just allows us to continue to scale our business. Right now, we're laying the groundwork for over 20 cities in this year alone.
I should point out, we reported Alphabet will account for the vast majority of that $16 billion. But it is interesting, Sequoia Capital, DST, Dragoneer, they are new investors. What do we interpret from that they came in at this stage of the company's life?
I think it's important to interpret that this is an inflection point, right? Like in 2025, we quadrupled the number of trips that we are providing. So we offered 15 million rides. And we have over 20 million lifetime rides. So
right,
it was just a really important year. And now that we've launched Miami, that's across 6 cities. But at that time, it was across 5 cities. And so demonstrating not only that the technology works, that we're able to drive the safety impacts that we've been focused on, with when we were at 127 million miles, we were able to demonstrate a 90% that we had 90% fewer serious injury-causing crashes or worse. That's the kind of safety output that drives us. That's our mission, to be the world's most trusted driver. So coming in at this point demonstrates that consumers are adopting it, the safety case is being made, and it's just really exciting time to join the team. You
set the scene for expansion across 20 cities this year, right? Right now, you're doing 400,000 paid rides a week across 6 cities. It's a greater scale than when you and I talked to more than a year ago, yes, which seemed to be a time of pace then. What's the biggest challenge of operating a robotaxi service at that new scale that you're developing?
I think everything is really exciting right now, and there are many, many things to be learned as we go, right? Like some markets are still not open, and they're really important transportation hubs around the world, like New York City,
right?
And so we were the first company to receive a testing permit where we had driver supervision of fully autonomous testing in the city. And we believe now with Governor Hochul that we will be able to be the first company to launch in New York City or New York State. But, this is going to be a path to actually figuring out the regulatory landscape.
There's something there, isn't there? City versus state, state versus federal. We will talk about it.
Yeah.
I got a lot of interest when I said that I was going to be speaking with you about $16 billion is a lot of money, but actually, how will you use it? There's a tension between scaling operations, the fleet. you've got to have more cars, but also a commitment to invest in technology. And I wondered, Tekedra, how far you thought about how much goes into each of those buckets.
Yeah, so first and foremost, when we think about 2026, just the year ahead of us, execution. So scaling across these 20 cities that we're laying the groundwork for, continuing to grow our world-class team is obviously super important to us. Making sure that we are continuing to cost down our hardware stack and prove out our unit economics while scaling our fleet. And so we have our, fully electric I-Pace fleet. We are starting to introduce the OHI vehicles, and then you will see the Ioniq 5s come online. And so making sure that we are investing for the long term for a sustainable business is what we're really focused on. I
see the OHI vehicles testing. If I am a user of the service right now, will I soon be able to actually get into an OHI?
You will this year be able to. Right now, we've only throughout 2025, in the beginning of this year, had employees in 3 cities.
We just had a huge weekend here in the Bay Area, San Francisco, but Santa Clara Super Bowl.
Yes.
I, across social media, saw a lot of people reflect on their first experience in a robotaxi.
Yeah.
Some of them, of course, with Waymo. Yeah. Was that a tangible, meaningful moment for the company? These visitors to town?
Yes.
What data, what evidence can we point to on how big a weekend?
Yes, Super Bowl is a reminder for us that Waymo is part of the fabric of the Bay Area, right? Like people were able to hail rides from SFO, from San Jose Airport. People were able to get to and from the Levi Stadium. We obviously did a lot of fun activations with influencers. But it's just a reminder that people are using the Waymo service in everyday errands, doctor's appointments, getting kids to practice, in big life moments, weddings, picking up a child from daycare, having a baby, going to the hospital, pregnant, coming home from the hospital with a newborn, and then these large cultural moments. And so we've had a number of them. Obviously, we started the month with the Grammys, where we had a host of activations there. Then the Super Bowl, and then, of course, we have the All-Star Weekend coming in Los Angeles. And so we're just finding this intersection of everyday life and then real enthusiasm, because a lot of people came to the Bay Area for the Super Bowl and were not in their city. And it's the thing they had heard from their friends in the area. You have to check out Waymo. And so we saw so many downloads and so many happy riders while they were here.
Waymo's reputation is growing globally, and we're going to talk about the literal expansion of your operations. But with this funding round, it's a who's who of investors now on the cap table. It's a big raise at a premium valuation. How much of that is sort of setting the pieces in motion to life eventually as a public company? Is that something that you and Dimitri and the rest of the leadership plan for, or is there merit staying as you are now?
We are just laser focused on execution. Building Waymo to be financially responsible, operationally excellent, and then make sure we maintain the safety culture. Like, that's what we're really focused on. Having this vote of confidence, as you said, not only from Alphabet, but from our 3 co-leads from this round, and from all of the new investors who decided to join our cap table, and the existing ones who doubled down on their belief that this is the right opportunity to fund. And so we just feel humbled, but also there's a lot to do. So we're just really focused on making sure that we can scale, focusing on our 2 first international launches, London and Tokyo, and scaling across the United States.
Let's talk about the growth. A lot of people just want to understand, in some of those cities where people are frustrated because the service doesn't exist, what does it take to launch in a city? To go from mapping that city through to a full paid commercial service?
Yeah, if the regulatory climate of a city is welcoming, then then we can show up and map and launch in a couple of months like we did in Miami.
Right.
That's a city where, they were welcoming and they were ready and we were ready. And so we showed up, we have a fleet operating partner, and we were able to launch quite quickly after we first arrived. I think in a lot of cities, especially cities that are meaningful from a transportation perspective, where we're helping, we're working, engaging with policymakers, we have the burden to demonstrate our safety impact. And so with the 127 million miles and 90% fewer serious injury causing crashes or worse, we have to educate them on that kind of impact. 82% fewer airbag deployments. This isn't something that any fleet-based business has been able to come in and give policymakers data. So assuming that we can do that and then grow trust, and we do that by partnering with organizations in markets who have been trying to solve road safety issues. They've been trying to expand mobility options for residents. And so we partner with them. And then obviously we work with law enforcement and first responders to train them on how our technology works.
We do not yet have, although there has been progress toward just this week, a federal level framework, set of rules. What do you think the direction of travel is with that? And clearly, if you had to deal with one set of rules and not a city by city, let alone state by state basis or case, you'd be making a bit more progress, I suppose.
Yeah, we think it's really important that there is a federal AV standard. We've been advocating for sort of a safety case-based approach because the technologies are different. And we think that the burden should be on companies to demonstrate why you believe your technology is safe enough. We also think there should be transparency requirements. People should have to demonstrate how many trips are you providing. Right now, the balance isn't quite there. I mean, some states require a lot of reporting. Some don't require as much reporting. I think the United States has an opportunity with this technology to lead globally. And I don't think you can lead globally if it's a framework that's governed by multiple jurisdictions across the states. And it's a way to slow down the adoption of this technology, not only in the U.S., but in other markets.
New York City, not necessarily New York State. A lot of people want to know what's the roadblock there, pardon the expression, and what's the timeline. You work closely with the authorities, but that is a big potential market.
Yeah, that's a market where, we're just going to have to do the work and demonstrate our safety outcomes and earn the trust and chisel away at it over time.
Do they have the rules for you to follow?
They do not have rules that allow the human operator to be removed from the vehicle entirely.
And until that changes?
But, there is an interest in doing this in the state, even outside of the city. And that gives us an opportunity to grow more fans. And fans actually are calling for this in cities where our technology can't be deployed. We are seeing organic campaigns spring up saying, I want Waymo in my town. And sometimes it's, parents of children who will never have driver's license saying okay, this is a safer alternative. Let's bring it in and let's give these children independence. And so it's been really exciting for us to see people demanding it. And over time, that's going to grow.
Of those 20 cities that are coming this year, New York City is not one of them factored in.
No, that's right.
That's Waymo co-CEO Tekedra Mawakana. I'm Ed Ludlow, and you're listening to a special bonus episode of Bloomberg Tech. We'll have more on Waymo's future with the company's co-CEO right after this.
How do you shift AI from being a flashy feature to a trusted partner in consumers' everyday lives? On the ground at CES, Bloomberg Media Studios asked Michael McDermott, EVP of Samsung.
Our 2026 vision is built around an AI companion. It understands you and responds intuitively. This intelligence works quietly in the background across TVs, home appliances, and mobile devices. By putting AI at the center of everything we do, we're simply improving everyday life for everyone, everywhere.
Running a business is hard enough, so why make it harder with a dozen different apps that don't talk to each other? One for sales, another for inventory, a separate one for accounting. Before you know it, you're drowning in software instead of growing your business. This is where Odoo comes in. Odoo is the only business software you'll ever need. It's an all-in-one, fully integrated platform that handles everything. CRM, accounting, inventory, e-commerce, HR, and more. No more app overload. No more juggling logins. Just one seamless system that makes work easier. And the best part, Odoo replaces multiple expensive platforms for a fraction of the cost. It's built to grow with your business, whether you are just starting out or already scaling up. Plus, it's easy to use, customizable, and designed to streamline every process, so you can focus on what really matters, running your business. Thousands of businesses have made the switch, so why not you? Try Odoo for free at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
Thanks for listening to this special edition of Bloomberg Tech. I'm Ed Ludlow. Now here's more of my conversation with Waymo co-CEO Tekedra Mawakana.
San Francisco, the Bay Area, is my home. London's where I grew up. And I was studying the map of the boroughs that you proposed to launch in. And you correct me if my math is wrong, but just based on those boroughs, at launch, this seems to be the biggest citywide deployment from the start that you guys will have done. Is that correct?
It's correct. I mean, we're in the phases of figuring out the specifics around the launch and figuring out the actual framework around the launch. And so I don't want to speak too definitively about what we're going to do. But what you're speaking to is we're not gated by the technology.
Right.
And we have the appetite to scale, and we want to partner and do so safely, and we want to earn trust. So that's there's a lot of levers there that we have to figure out how to strike the right balance and how to make sure that we're introducing it to the community, both to meet the demand and to grow the business.
I asked because of those 20 cities to come, London is one.
Yes.
And London is now outside of the European Union, but it's kind of your Europe launch.
Yes.
What was that experience like within London's regulatory framework and the UK's regulatory framework?
They've been extremely forward-leaning and interested in seeing how this technology could actually improve safety on their roadways.
Right.
And that's where I think, we find a sweet spot when people are less sort of complacent about the status quo. And I think there's a lot of complacency about road deaths, 40,000 or 1.2 million globally. And when there isn't, I think people are actively interested in solutions. And then they want to figure out, of course, what are the things they need to think through and learn from.
Well, pricing, for one, like Londoners take the bus.
Yes.
Londoners take the tube.
Yes.
Are Londoners prepared to sort of pay for a robotaxi service that's equivalent to a human-driven black cab in London or Uber and Lyft?
Yes. People are. There's, obviously before we go in, we do a lot of polling. We meet with a lot of residents as well as advocates. And people want safe, private spaces. It adds to their day versus becoming time that they lose in the day. And so it's the thing that's been most exciting is once we introduce the Waymo service into a cityscape, people discover things they didn't think they could have. Like that hour a day in the morning and that by yourself to get something done, people have just sacrificed it.
Yes.
And whether that's on transit or whether it doesn't matter. And we're not, people want to take transit. That's great because you can also sit there. You just can't sit there maybe and take a call in quiet. And so this is something that we're hearing from riders all the time. I didn't know that I needed this the way that I needed it.
Asia Pacific is also somewhere that is, it varies by country, but robotaxis are embraced. You are looking very closely at Japan.
Yes.
What do you see in the Japanese market? Of course, you're very closely aligned with Toyota as a partner, almost a national champion for them in the automotive space. But does your hope of launching there go beyond Toyota? Is it enabled by Toyota? And again, we have a lot of viewers in that country who just want to know when.
Yes. When we first thought about Japan, we thought about Tokyo.
Right.
And when we first thought about Tokyo, we decided to partner with Nihon Kotsu and Go. And that's because the cabs are such an integral part of life there.
Culturally as well.
Culturally, yeah. Exactly. And so what that's allowed us to do is we have a fleet of vehicles there, and the drivers of those vehicles are part of that partnership. They're collecting the data for us. And so they're like helping to usher in this change. There will still be cabs for a long time, and there will be an introduction of autonomous vehicles. And so finding partners, like you said, national champions who can help us navigate not only the regulatory climate, but who already have that trust of riders and who can help us educate riders that this isn't like something they are not welcoming. It's actually something they're quite excited about, seeing Tokyo become a city of the future from a transportation
But that is a market where the rules exist for you to, through partners or otherwise, but to charge a fare and have a real business,
yes,
even if modest at first.
That's exactly right. And of course, it's something we've helped shape.
Right.
You know, there's most places contemplated drivers around the world, right? I mean, that's the way laws, whether it's 50 years ago or 100 years ago, I mean, they were sort of written to regulate automobiles, and automobiles were presumed to be driven by people. And
Yes.
so most places we have to think through what needs to change in the laws. And then if people are willing to work with us on that, then we work with them to change it. And so in Japan, we have a path forward.
Around the world, the sort of robotaxi race is framed in US companies against Chinese technology companies, right? I think this is something that Waymo and some of Waymo's executives have been kind of candid about this past week in testimony. How do you see that playing out? You, for example, with Toyota, you have a partner who also, in common, work with Pony AI as an example. It's something you must be conscious of in markets where you want to expand outside of America in particular.
Yes. In general, if there are other companies focused on autonomous driving to make roads safer, we think that's positive. Like, that is a positive thing. We should have competition around saving lives. And so that's a good thing. I think what we don't spend a lot of time thinking about is how everyone is thinking about how to pursue partnerships right now. We're just laser focused on our strategy. We're the only company that is offering a 24/7 service across 6 markets in the U.S. with ambitions to be in many more this year and launch internationally. And, you know, we've driven over almost 200 million fully autonomous miles. And we're driving over 4 million miles per week. And so that's, if you think about it, that's over 6 human lifetimes every 7 days. And so our driver is learning at a rapid pace. And so we don't think there's anyone who's doing anything close to what we're doing. And so for us, it's just staying focused on our own ambitions.
Safety, there are still concerns. And in January in particular, there's 2 kind of, again, case studies of regulatory scrutiny, right, of 2 specific incidences. I think it's important, like, for both of them, I take time in putting it to you and explain it to you. But in the case of the Santa Monica incident, for example, a Waymo vehicle struck or collided with a child, but the system detected the child. It braked sharply. And at the point that the impact was made, it was a speed of single digits miles per hour, I believe 6.
Yes.
It had been traveling at 17. So in that instance, the system worked, but a probe was opened. Just would you reflect on that? But also, you know, my interpretation of what Waymo's publicly stated about this is that you actually kind of welcome the opportunity to open up the system to the regulators, let them look at it.
Yes. So first and foremost, this was a child, and we are extremely happy that she walked away from this incident. As you said, because there's, you know, an investigation pending, we thought it was important to become a party to the investigation. And so we're doing that. And as we've already stated, you know, our car was traveling 17 miles per hour. We did detect her, you know, coming from behind a tall SUV into the roadway. We hard braked and we made contact, and at 6 miles an hour. And we also determined in our human equivalent model that a human would not have been able to perform as our superhuman driver performed.
Right.
And so this is an example, we believe, of exactly why we do what we do. We want to make roads safer, and we welcome the opportunity to cooperate with the NTSB in this investigation.
Separately, safety investigators are looking at the issue of how the Waymo interacts with parked school buses. This seems to be sort of a separate technical challenge. What is that about? Why is it that the Waymo system has to, or I guess struggles with, is the headline that came out, but with a parked vehicle of that size in a school zone, of course, where you also have mixed foot traffic of children in particular?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, with safety being our priority, how we perform around school buses and children is a top priority for our company. We've already addressed this situation with a software release, which is really important to us. But also we partnered with the Austin Independent School District to look at data they have so we can make sure that we are learning from what they have. Their data obviously would be more based on human-driven vehicles, but still having that opportunity to learn is really important to us. And then once again, we have agreed with the NTSB to be a party to this investigation because we think it's important for us to understand and for them to understand what we're seeing, because we also have a lot of awareness around the school buses.
If we call that an edge case, interaction with the school bus, that software fix that you talked about, is it a total fix? In other words, does Waymo believe it's now solved that technical challenge?
I don't think we can think of it as a single thing.
Okay.
And I want to be super respectful of the investigation here. But I don't think we should think of it as a thing because, there are angles, there are times, they're not all parked. And so I think we should let the investigation play out and then happy to talk to you afterwards.
There was a big sort of technological development, which was with Genie 3, the use of simulation. How much has that kind of accelerated the technology development side of what Waymo's doing of late?
I think it's really exciting for us and something that we continue to partner with the research teams, but really our acceleration hasn't been dependent on that.
Waymo has always talked about safety in the context of redundancy, right? It's a multi-sensor suite around the vehicle. Camera, vision, LiDAR, radar. Tesla's approach, and they are at much smaller scale, especially in the vehicles that no longer have a safety supervisor, is a vision-only approach. When you are trying to scale in all of these cities, are the different technology approaches something that worry you based on your belief of the kind of redundancy that's required?
No, it doesn't worry me. We have a lot of conviction about our approach.
Right.
Our approach is what allowed us in October of 2020 to remove the human driver from behind the wheel. And it's what's allowed us to be the only company to scale to over 400,000 trips per week. If you can see and smell and taste and touch and have all of your senses, why wouldn't you? And especially with a safety critical function, we think it is very important in the early days, especially, to make sure you're taking in as much data as possible to inform the models and then to achieve the outcomes. And, then we can all debate, how you go forward from there. But this has been critical to our approach, and it's allowed us to scale, and it's allowed us to achieve these safety results of a 90% fewer serious injury causing crashes. And that is how you evaluate whether or not this approach is working. And I know there's a lot of discussion around costs, right? Especially when you think about scale.
The economics at scale.
The economics at scale. And so, of course, we're laser focused on bringing these costs down. But you have to bring the costs down once you achieve the safety, because how else do you actually know what the investment model for the business is if you haven't actually achieved the safety bar? And so that's what we are focused on, achieving the safety bar. Now we can drive the cost down because we know what it takes.
So let's end by me asking you this, in case I don't speak to you for another year. In a year's time, what are the metrics by which you, as a leader in this company, will have judged success? You plan to launch in 20 cities, but you often point to different safety metrics and the miles driven. Internally, what are you going to be holding the teams to account on?
By the end of 2026, we will be doing over 1 million trips per week. And we will be doing that across a host of U.S. cities.
Paid trips?
Paid trips. We only talk about paid trips. And so we will be doing over 1 million paid trips per week by the end of this year.
And that's the measurement of success in the near term?
It's one of them. I think having the safety culture that we've had within the company, it permeates through the data, but it starts with how we are so disciplined about what we do and how we do it. It matters a lot to us. And so making sure that we have that culture intact, I think, is the other way that we will continue to measure our success.
That's Waymo co-CEO Tekedra Mawakana, and that does it for this special bonus episode of Bloomberg Tech. Find us on all your favourite podcast platforms and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And catch our live show every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on Bloomberg Television. I'm Ed Ludlow, thanks for listening, and this is Bloomberg.
How do you want to spend your day? At Brightview Senior Living Communities, you decide, and we'll take care of the rest. Pamper yourself at the salon and pursue your creative passions. Toast with your friends at happy hour and savor chef-prepared meals. Close out the day with a concert just down the hall from your apartment. Or simply relax. The choice is yours. Enjoy the comforts of home and the security of award-winning care. Discover the possibilities at brightviewseniorliving.com.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
30 years ago, Scream changed horror forever. Now it's all led to this in Scream 7. Sidney Prescott thought she'd finally escape the nightmare of Ghostface, raising her family in a quiet town far away from the horrors of Woodsboro. She was wrong. And this time, the target isn't just her. It's her teenage daughter, Tatum, who's the same age Sydney was when the terror began. Neve Campbell returns in her iconic final girl role as Sidney Prescott, facing the most brutal and psychological ghost face yet. Joined by franchise favorites Courtney Cox, Jasmine Savoy Brown, and Mason Gooding, alongside terrifying new blood including Isabel May, McKenny Grace, Asa Gurman, and more. Directed by franchise creator Kevin Williamson in his directorial debut, Scream 7 is packed with edge-of-your-seat scares and shocks for everyone, with references and callbacks for Scream fans everywhere. Ghostface is the terrifying horror icon alongside Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers. And after 30 years, the mask still means one thing: no one is safe. See Scream 7 in theaters February 27th, because screams are always better when you hear them together.